Retellings. So today I wanted to talk about a very special story that has been with me since I was a kid. And I've done similar videos to this with Phantom of the Opera and Frankenstein and Dracula, and this one is a little different in that it is a fairy tale. It's a little bit older than those other books and has a lot of different reiterations, and that will be Beauty and the Beast. So the story as we more or less know it now is by Gabrielle-Suzanne Barbot de Villeneuve. If I butchered that, I'm sorry, I don't speak French. That was first published in 1740 in France. And so La Belle et la Bête has been a rather landmark tale since then. There was a abridged version by Jean-Marie Le Prince de Beaumont in 1756, but the story itself dates all the way back at least 4,000 years with things such as Cupid and Psyche, the Golden Ass, the Pig King, and the story itself is nothing new, even if the actual fairy tale as we know it today wasn't published until the 1700s in France. The story has definitely been very interesting to me, and I think it started with the Disney film as a child. And then you also have other adaptations of it, such as Angela Carter's The Courtship of Mr. Lion in her collected short story works, The Bloody Chamber. If you're interested in a lot of allegorical and kind of psychosexual writing, I do recommend Angela Carter. Her stuff is very good and very dark. There's also other novel adaptations that take from the plot, such as the teen novel Beastly, but it's a very classic story and I've favored it for a long time. It's one of my favorite fairy tales. I shall cover at some point a more complete video on Grimm's fairy tales and Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tales at some other point in time. So one of the older adaptations of The Beauty and the Beast is Jean Cocteau's La Belle et la Bête from 1946. I highly recommend that everybody see this movie because it is absolutely stunning and it's beautiful. And one of the interesting things about it is that it was filmed during World War II, and so there was a lot of like hiccups in trying to get supplies, trying to get funding, try and make this movie happen, but it ended up being a very beautiful piece of art that I respect and has influenced a lot of other cinema over the course of history. So I highly recommend this one. You can only find a DVD copy through Criterion Collection, so it is worth its price if you can find your copy. The next adaptation, which is a live action one from the early 60s from 1962, which I have not seen nor do I own. I don't know that much about it. There's also a 1952 Russian folktale animated feature called The Scarlet Flower, which I also haven't seen. The next version that I have seen, if this DVD looks a little bit weird to you, that's because it's not an American DVD. There's a reason I own region-free DVD players, which is Pana at Navarre from 1978. I believe, although I am rubbish at Czech, that it translates to The Monster and the Maiden. This is very highly gothic and stylized and very beautiful film. This is another one I highly recommend. However, it's a pain in the ass to find it in the US. I wish you luck because I went out of my way because this is region 2. But this is definitely a beautiful film. If you get the chance to watch it, I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it with subtitles. There's a lot in it that I really appreciate that brings some fresh blood into the fairy tale. The next adaptation I can think of, which I also haven't seen, and it's also live action, is from 1987, in addition to the 1980s TV show that I haven't watched with Ron Perlman that I would like to get the chance to watch at some point in time. There's, of course, my childhood favorite and my favorite Disney princess being Beauty and the Beast. It was really easy for me to pick Belle as a favorite Disney princess as a kid when she was the only one who was a brunette with brown eyes who liked to read books. I was rather fond of her as a kid, and I still love this movie. It's very beautiful. The advantage of buying this particular DVD edition is that it reinstates the previously lost or excluded musical number, Human Again, which is great. And I am not even ashamed that I love this movie this much. There's also a 2008 indie film called Spike. That's kind of a really interesting one. I don't own a copy of it, but I have seen it. Very unique storytelling aspect to it of a boy who's cursed to basically be a giant hedgehog, but creepier. And it's a very interesting little film. I do recommend watching it. It's not that difficult to find. I just don't have a copy of it. Now, I think it's really funny that I own a DVD copy of this and that I've seen it, I think, twice now. And this is not what I'd call one of the better adaptations. I never read the YA novel, but I know people who seem to have liked it. It was well received enough to make a film. It's not a bad movie. I mean, it's entertaining. It's kind of popcorn flick reading stuff, but there's some visuals in it that are kind of fun. And of all things, I never thought that I would like Mary-Kate Olsen as a witch, because that's an aesthetic goal somehow, which is really weird. So this is kind of a fun modern retelling in New York City. The more recent one, there's another one from 2005, Beauty and the Beast. It's also called Blood of the Beast. It's set in Viking times, and from my understanding, that's kind of silly but not poorly received. I haven't seen it. And then the next one that I have here is another French adaptation, La Belle et la Bête, from 2014. This one is very pretty as well. I mean, it's full color, extravaganza, lots of CGI, giants, weird puppy creatures. I don't know. This one's definitely a visual treat, and I do recommend watching it. Again, subbed, not dubbed. So this is definitely a fun one. I quite enjoyed it. I was so impatient waiting for a US release of this DVD to come out so I could see it. But this is a fun one. And I'm sure, like plenty of other people, I'm really excited for the film adaptation that's going to come out, the live action Disney with Emma Watson, that's going to come out in March of 2017. I'm pretty excited for it. Hopefully it's good. I think that that'll be fun. So I know it seems a little bit odd to cover a fairy tale, but fairy tales and folklore and mythology and sort of esoteric elements are very commonplace in horror and the Gothic subculture and things that are already in my interest, and this is just one of those things that stemmed out of childhood. And I'm not defending liking something, because I'm allowed to like what I like, but it kind of fits in to the whole thing. And hopefully, at least several of my viewers like Beauty and the Beast as much, if not more, than I do, so that they can appreciate this little video. Anyway, till next time, Darklings.